news desk. Thank you very much for staying with us. All right. So we understand that things in the Supreme Court are already moving. Let's just show you some pictures coming to us live. And there you have it, a bit empty, actually quite empty. And remember that that session was supposed to begin at about 2 p.m. So hopefully in the next couple of minutes, we'll see a buzz of activities there, just signaling the start of that session. Remember that today is when we'll get to hear the reasoning of that ruling and decision that was made by the Supreme Court with regard to the October 26th repeat presidential poll. So we'll be crossing over there once that session begins. All right, but here in studio, I want us to have a conversation with Ishmael Nyaribo. He is a lawyer. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, so we're talking about how the country should be moving forward. And Uhuru Kenyatta, I don't know if you heard what he said the other day, saying that he is not ready for dialogue. He is ready for conversations with regard to development. Talk to me about what you think about his attitude.
Yeah. Well, Betty, it's very difficult to say what he means about his attitude. But we know our president for a long time, before and after he became head of state. And we know he's a very friendly person by nature. And we know he keeps his promise. In fact, he keeps his friendships right from the time he was in St. Mary's, I hear, up to today, he recognizes them. So he doesn't pretend about his personality and his friendship. And before elections, he said, we want to go into elections and then do dialogue after the elections.
Yes.
So I believe in my heart that that president who is saying, "Hii mazungumzo tutaiwachia 2022, I believe that that is not the head of state of our country.
Yes.
He probably is under pressure to really go that direction. He wants to talk. Uhuru listens every time. So his attitude is such that if he can bring people together and agree on an issue, for him, that's really what satisfies him.
Right.
So this issue now of trying to run away from his own promise earlier, I believe it is coming from another quarter.
That is not him.
It is not him.
Because, before, the election, and like you rightly put it, that, there was that, sentiment from him that, let's have a conversation.
Yes,
but
let's have it structured. In fact, he said after elections, we can have structured dialogue.
Yeah, but immediately he was sworn in, he's like, actually, we will not be having a conversation about the election. But do you think also it's coming from a point where he wants to try and move the country forward? We've had this line so many times, but there's no better way to put it.
You see, Betty, that is true, as an idea. But how will you move people forward if they are not with you? You see, you can move people if, first of all, they understand you. They see what you want to do, they understand what you exactly mean, and then they come along with you. So you cannot go miles ahead and then say, I really want to take the country forward. So hey, you guys, come join me. They can only come to join you when they understand what you mean and where you are so that they can join you.
What does that mean?
This means that in order for him actually to take the country forward, he needs the other set of people who are telling him you are wrong. And by the way, when you become head of state, you are sent to the seat of power. You completely assume a different role. You are not Uhuru Ruto as it is. You are Uhuru Kenyatta for the sake of the nation. And the powers you are given under the Constitution and the instruments that give you power, you are not subject to to William Ruto. You are not subject to the ministers, to whoever. Fine, they are there to guide you and advise you on what to do. But you must take the Constitution at heart. And even ask now unbiased advisors. What can we do to ensure the people behind Raila Odinga actually do not feel that they are exonerated and, they are not part of Kenya? So it is his responsibility as it is.
But practically speaking, how do you carry the whole country? Of course, there are people who will not agree with you. There are people who will always disagree with you. Is it really possible to carry everybody?
You see, Betty...
And then also considering that, there's also that other, chunk of people, population, who voted for him and endorsed him. So... the feeling has been like, why are we not thinking about these other people who endorsed Uhuru Kenyatta, went to the ballot, cast their vote, and he was elected as president?
Yes, but we can spend a whole year wondering or worrying about how the president is feeling as a person. There is no such provision in the Constitution. Once you ascend to power, we criticize you in a different format.
Okay.
So it is not about the people who voted for him now. He actually was voted by Kenyans to be a president. If you listen to the quotes, you listen to Jubilee itself, he was chosen by Kenyans. They are not saying he was chosen by a section of Kenyans.
Yeah.
No, he was chosen by Kenyans. So once you ascend to power, you don't have to carry all the people from Homa Bay, Kisii, Rangwe. No. There are people who lead those others. And these are the people the president needs to really listen to and ask them, look, I'm the president, so I mean, you can do nothing about this. You want to swear in the opposition leader, fine, but now I am the president. This is what I propose. And if it comes out that clear, even those people standing behind Raila Odinga will start to change heart and support him in a measure, in such a manner that actually now he can say, he can start working with the institutions. Betty, before I get out of that point, look, we have a problem. There is no Nakumat now. I mean, we go to the supermarkets, Uchumi, everywhere. We cannot get things on the shelves. There are issues with schools and whether textbooks can be bought by parents or the government. The economy is in a mess. So the president cannot afford actually to wash away the responsibility of talking with the rest of Kenyans and say he probably will talk with William Ruto. And by the way, I am not a psychologist, but when I saw him washing his kind of, fidgeting with his own hands, it gave me a feeling that he was really indeed trying to get away from a problem in a manner that is being pushed to get out of that problem. But his own heart, he's a man who listens, and he should immediately listen. He should listen to the church. He should listen to the diplomats. He should listen to Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga, if I may take a second or two, Raila Odinga actually speaks for hundreds and thousands of people in Jubilee and in the government. Do not limit this gentleman to Luo Nyanza or to the people of Nyanza and Western. Raila Odinga speaks for reforms, for democracy, for free speech, for social democracy and a socio-equitable sharing of resources.
Right.
So he's not a person you will just ignore and say, I cannot talk to him. Sit with him and listen to his views and publicize his views so that we know that his intentions are not good, quote unquote. So that we can now say, no, we support you, Uhuru Kenyatta, and we think Raila is wrong. But without offering himself as president to that humility, by the way, he leads the country into further turmoil, which is not acceptable and which is not really allowed in our circumstances right now.
Right. So let's now dig deeper into this dialogue, because this dialogue word has been thrown around so many times. From where you sit, what is this dialogue that you think Uhuru Kenyatta should have with Raila Odinga? What is it that they're going? What's the agenda of that meeting? Say they've met today.
Betty, I wish I was in the team to craft the dialogue, the minutes, and advise the president. I'm not. But Raila Odinga said what he wants. He is clear. All I want is not to share the government. He says he wants electoral justice. And by the way, this is so much lawful. I don't see why anybody really should run away from this. He only wants to say that when you appoint the commissioners, when you appoint the CEO to the Electoral Commission, when you appoint staff, we want the whole country to be a part and parcel of that. The instrument you are using, the digital electronic systems of transferring votes from the voting block to, the headquarters. He wants the citizens to have full control of that and not just a mechanism for the state to control. Why is this a threat to anybody?
All right, but Raila Odinga is on record saying that he wants an election in 90 days.
Oh, yes. I mean, once all these reforms have been done, he wants elections in 90 days. There is no law, no Bible verse, no Quran that is saying elections will be done in 90 days. That is his proposal. Now, the government can come up and say, no, we are sorry, we can only have this request of elections in 4 years. Then that is the basis for discussion. And when you are going to negotiate something, Betty, when you are mediating, when you are stating and another one is also requesting, you don't stand your ground, because then there are no negotiations you are requesting for. So Raila Odinga might be told, could you push it to 3 years? And then he says, no, maybe let's have it in 1 year. Okay. And then let the people participate in such a dialogue. And probably we get a middle ground.
A middle ground. All right, so I want us now to take a look at Salim Lone, who is Raila Odinga's advisor. Let's just look at the statement. There you go on your screens. So it says, and I'll read it for you, if the court had access to the server, Mr. Odinga would have been sworn in as the president a long time ago. I want us to stay there for a minute, Ishmael. Now, if this is the tone of Raila Odinga, then do you think that Uhuru Kenyatta will be willing to come and have a sit-down with him, considering that, you know, Uhuru Kenyatta has been sworn in as the president? Yeah. Then here you have Salim Lon saying that if those servers were opened, Raila Odinga could have been president.
Yes, Betty, you see, Salim Lon is very clear in my view, and I always love to look at the positive aspect of these things. He has said if it is quite, you know, it's an if, which means, and you know very well that the courts did not have access to the servers, and the courts did not make inference to the effect that we still want to go and look at the servers even after the president is sworn in, you see. So, and that is the position we are in. So I think here you cannot now work on conjecture, and you cannot put a lot of weight on what Salim Lon is saying on that statement alone. But it can be part and parcel of the item for dialogue. Why did you actually refuse to open the servers? Let me tell you, Betty, if you like football or you watch football, the referee is not always 100% correct. Even he makes obvious and silly mistakes. Mm-hmm. The beauty about people who have developed more is that they actually acknowledge that human beings can make mistakes, and they need to move on. The 90 minutes need to end, and then we move on to another game tomorrow. So it is unfortunate, really, and I'm not advocating, by the way, that we should allow malpractices in elections. I am discussing this issue today. This is where we find ourselves. The Supreme Court ordered that we get the servers opened. They were opened halfway, and the report was given to the Supreme Court, and on that basis they made a decision on the 8th of August 2017. We are now beyond that. Another election has taken place, and one side is saying it is 98% win, and another one is saying no, this was a complete sham. Now today you are asking me the question with Salim Lon's statement, where are we? In my view, this is an important statement that can be placed on the table for dialogue.
We have to now cross over to the Supreme Court. I understand that the session there